Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of BoldTakes and Bad Tempers. I am your host, Zachary Ronaldo, better known online as Zach the Bold. And day 14, I got the triangle out, day 14. That's what it feels like. Remember when I was a young man, I had the stars in my eyes. I was like little Mr. Krabs. I had his little, what's that thing that Fred has from Scooby-Doo? I had the thing on my neck. I'm wearing a little sailor's outfit, and I had a little flag and a beanie, and it twirls around with a little propeller on top. And I go, guys, there's going to be 4 long forms this month, 4 long form videos. And it's dark, and it's a Tuesday night. I look outside the window as I type away my thoughts on combat and Dungeons and Dragons and how it quits and how it shockingly doesn't relate to video games. And I look outside, and my friends are running around, yay, and they're playing D&D and Magic. And I'm brooding. I'm sitting down. It's raining outside. Thunder strikes as I write each word. That is how it has felt. And I find myself in the position of being like, why did I do this? How did I end up here? And so that's kind of what this week has been. Of course, it's been 2 weeks in a row with only like one short form going out. This is because the one day I have to make short form, I'm like walking around my house thinking of ideas. And I beat Metroid Prime 3, and I'm like, what am I doing? I need to be making videos again. I need to get myself back out there. I used to be someone. I used to be something. And then thunder strikes, and I'm in my office writing a long-form video. Which brings me up to corners. It's probably going to be delayed another week. As in, I thought it'd go out next week, the last week of November. You'd be sitting around at Thanksgiving. You'd be talking to your family, which now has, for some reason, become like the worst. It's something people, like this moment where we're supposed to get together and talk about what we're thankful for. And now we have this new generation of Gen Alpha coming in, and they're practicing their 6-7 speed. And that's like the worst thing about Thanksgiving is people who don't want to be there because they think it's cool to not want to be there. And this is typically your like developmental period. I remember in high school, one of my high school pictures, I have Eren Yeager's key around my neck. It was the first time that I had like gotten into anime, and I was like, school sucks, and I don't want to see my friends, and, this world is burning, and now I sit across from my, like, nephews or distant, like, cousins once removed, which I think means, like, my cousin's kids, and I'm like, I am now that, like, trying to be a funkle, but because I don't talk because I don't talk about Chapel Roan or how the Midwest sucks, because they all hate it, right? They have been taught that the Midwest sucks and their life sucks, and I'm like, I have to be there, and I'm like a clown, and I put whoopee cushions down, and I'm trying to entertain them. That's the state I feel like whenever we go to Thanksgiving now. I'm now trying to fight off these kids that are trying to bring me down. And now, like, some of the kids they're like, they're on their iPads. Your mom or your grandma's trying to start a prayer. Everyone, and you reach over to your nephew, and you're like, hey, come on, buddy, let's pray. And they're locked in on AI generated Spider-Man versus Michael Myers. You're literally seeing someone's eyes get gouged out of their head. And for some reason, it's on YouTube Kids. You're like, I don't think we should be watching that. And then their dad is like, hey, they can watch whatever they want. I keep a close eye on it. And I go, do you? Because someone's being murdered on their iPad. And they go, oh, stop being so soft. Stop being so soft. And they go on their phone. And their mom, and the grandma's really trying to hold the family together. They ask these kids how How's art class going? And if they're out of school and they're graduated and they're like, it's like these kids are trying to make, these young adults are trying to make the decision of whether to listen and go to school and try to get a job, or look at the numbers where it's like 0% of kids are getting out of college and getting a job. But then you're like, those numbers might be inflated and I don't know what's best for myself. And this is new uncharted territory. And grandma's holding the prayer together. I just want to say I'm very thankful for everyone getting together today. And your nephew rips their hand out and they go back on and they're playing Roblox. They're playing Steal a Brain Rot. And it's just like, and the grandma's there and it's slow-mo. She's looking around and her husband's no longer around. And these kids hate where they're at. They hate the position that they're in life. But they go back. They go back when their parents had a farm and their uncles had a farm, and there was every Sunday it used to be a dinner like this, and everyone would talk and get together and get along. And then as time went on, every weekend her then husband, her like would-be husband, would drive across on dirt roads in their own Chevy DeVille. I know cars. And they'd show up every weekend. They'd drive like 100 miles to see her. And then he gets drafted for Vietnam. And he goes out to Vietnam, and every day she has to worry whether or not she's going to be like that scene in Saving Private Ryan where she's looking outside. She's cleaning the dishes and see the cars pull up in the distance. But he comes back, and they have kids. And then he can't, and they never talk about it. Grandma never talks to Grandpa about what happened because he doesn't want to bring it up. Because if it does, then she's an accomplice. Because, yeah, he threw grenades in foxholes. And he closed his eyes when he first started, and then soon he'd keep his eyes wide open and he wouldn't blink. Sure. And then he didn't even get drafted to Korea. He went there on his own volition. He was there on first drop from the battle bus. First day he was there. And South Korea had maybe a square mile left to their name, and he pushed them back. And he was commanding others to throw grenades into foxholes, and that's fine because he had diplomatic immunity. But Grandma and Grandpa never talked about that. And sure, Grandpa wouldn't talk at the dinners, but they got everyone together. And then their mom sold the farmhouse, and then the uncle sold the farmhouse, and now it's a solar farm. And now where she used to grow up and play has a Sunoco there. And that's cool because she sometimes goes. And every now and again, she'll look out of the window of the Sunoco as she's trying to get her chip reader to work, but can't. And some guy who's 17 and he's got a bunch of pimples. And you look over and there's some guy yelling on a stupid podcast he's listening to. And he's trying to wipe the chip and the chip doesn't work. And she looks out for a second and she sees a tree. And for some reason, that tree reminds her of something. She looks, and it's the initials that he carved with her name. And then some guy chops it down because now they're building an Amazon warehouse and a data center there. And that's okay, because at least she has Thanksgiving coming up. She has Thanksgiving coming up. Paul, her husband, died. And he died a couple years ago. And people grieved, but she can't get over the fact that when she made her final eulogy for her husband, that she looked out into faces illuminated by iPads and children's of hers that shook their head and had a subtle frown. She's read the stories they wrote in creative writing. So what if Paul wasn't there for them? That's okay. Because now she looks out and she's holding this prayer together with her family. And she knows that she knows how bad it could be. And the prayer's interrupted because some kid's crying. He's playing like Grow a Farm on Roblox. And he's getting messages from 50-year-olds. And he's crying because his farm died. And for a moment, it passes her mind for a moment like maybe Paul would have ended up like that if there wasn't a draft. He thinks for a second, she's like, and then she buries that down. She buries that down. And she engages. And that's what life's about, right? It's about accepting these changes that are happening in life, right? Anyways, this is BoldTakes and Bad Episodes. This is a D&D podcast where I talk about, I didn't take an allergy pill, can you tell? Where I talk about Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah, and last episode I had talked about this weird powder that was on my laptop. And listen, all right, people are like, Zach, you have blow on your laptop. Okay, first off, no, I wouldn't do that in my office. That's stupid. I'm a full-grown adult. I'd do it in my living room. I don't need to go to a bathroom anymore. Just kidding. I did live in LA, and people are very generous in LA. They'd always offer it to you. I turn it down always. I've actually never done it in my entire life, which is a little insane. The most I've done, is it bright? Is it too bright on my face? I've been overcompensating for the light. Not that I've ever done that before. But yeah, I usually just drink 2 large steaming hot black coffees in front of some woman trying to keep her coffee truck alive. Well, it turns out the reason the powder was from the ceiling fan, which is on and it's fine. The thing is there's mice in my ceiling and I don't know what to do about them. So I'm going to do the normal thing. And I don't know how people put up ceilings, right? I don't know why the ceiling isn't falling. I don't know how that math works. What I do know is that the mice will most likely have kids and they'll die and all of them will die at some point. They'll get stuck in insulation or something. And then they will, like this entire office will smell for about 2 weeks and then their bodies will become mummified and the smell goes away. Because I don't want to worry about digging into my ceiling to find some mice. Can they not live a full life too, right? Can I not wait until their rotting corpses finally stagnate and they turn into mummified rats in my ceiling? So I'm writing corners. I'm literally writing corners. And the reason that corners is taking so long is because it's 60 pages. It's a 60-page adventure. And so I think this episode is going to be broken up into 2 parts because it's typically both the Forced Oracle and Child's Play was 30 pages each. So I might break it up into a 2-parter. But I'm writing and I hear scratching. I hear scratching up in the ceiling and I'm just like, okay, really? Am I going to have to deal with this? And I was hoping one would fall out and I'd strangle it. Okay, that was wrong. I would not do that. If it fell down, I'd leave my cat to do something about it. But my cat is sadistic. It'd probably be worse. Probably be worse if anything else happened. So this is why I'm letting them go through their life. They're allowed to live in my ceiling. They will die. They will stink. They will mummify. It is the course of life. At some point when we end up changing the insulation in the roof, I'm sure that we'll come across a grandma mice holding hands, kind of like in Pompeii when the volcano exploded. But it's just that the room got too hot and they mummified right then and there. And I've been talking about like family gatherings and stuff. I know that some of you guys are out there and AI is the new thing. And I'm not trying to be like, I'm like the milquetoast character that's like AI bad for the sake of saying if everyone else likes it, they'll like me more if I say it. But it's not about that aspect of all. I don't know if you guys have been encountering this with coworkers. Maybe you are that coworker, with family. That it's like almost people talk to me in hieroglyphics. It's like I will make like a joke and I'll try to riff. And usually people who aren't funny will be like, dude, and they'll take their phone, dude, I just AI generated this. Would you look at that? And you know, anyone who has common sense, who has some sense of being like, well, like a teenager always on the internet would be like, you know what? I hate Uncle whatever. I hate them because they always AI generate stuff and that's killing the planet and that's doing this. And you know, that's fine if you do, whatever. And grandma's listening to that. And she's thinking, and she's like, my husband went to Korea. Paul might not have talked, but at least he didn't do this, right? Put on airs, right? We're putting on airs. And someone will shove, and it's just like that same Bitmoji look. Everything's piss yellow. And you just got to go, you got to fake laugh. You got to force it. You go, yeah, dude. Oh, that is what I was. That is the mental image I was making out. I was doing that. I was putting it out there. And it's just all they can do. Dude, I saw this funny cat and I made it. I had Gronk. And you just got to go, yeah. Oh, yep, that is what I saw. But instead now it comes to fruition through an AI image. Yeah, no, that's great. That's funny. And it's just like, these are little, if you've ever read The Comfort Crisis by Michael Easter, it's one of my favorite books of all time. And what it says pretty much is that when you live in a city, your brain primordially is not used to the amount of sounds, beeping, honking, yelling, garbage bins being set up, put down, construction. Your brain isn't used to this, and so your brain has a higher stress level at all times, right? And so what happens is like when you go to Thanksgiving, which again, I love Thanksgiving, I love seeing my family, but it's almost like a hot pot of all these things happening, right? You go and someone shows you an AI image, someone complains about, their job, which is fine, that's typical. Some kid yells about how they can't say 6-7 in class, and all of these things are building up. They're increasing the cortisol levels in your brain. And what happens is it's like honey, it crystallizes there, right? And this is just another thing. This happened during like lockdown and people are talking about NFTs, and that stuff builds up in your brain, right? And you just like become more and more exhausted. I think the physiognomy of your cortisol crystallizing in your brain gives you bags under your eyes. And soon it's just like you have the most normal dude in the world. And he's wearing like a shirt that says like PlayStation 1, and he got it from Target, and they had a 2 for $10 graphic tee sale, and he has that light blue Pac-Man shirt that's a little faded, and he has a shirt that says PlayStation 1, and he's when I grew up, Jim Halpert was like the most normal dude in the world. I would watch The Office, and I'd be like, I want to be like Jim, because he's just a normal dude. Nowadays, I seem to be looking like, some like one of these retired Minecraft YouTubers, like a Yogscast member or like a Red vs. Blue member, someone from Rooster Teeth. And they got bags under their eyes. And they're stressed all the time about making ends meet, and they listen to the news and they don't know what news to listen to because, some of it's just to make doom and the other might come true. And they're saying the same thing 10 years ago. Now they see it in their face. So they're like, well, maybe I should start listening to the news more, and it stresses them out. And that's the most normal person you'll run into. And they go to these Thanksgiving events and then they drive home and their girlfriend that they picked up that comes from a good family. Their girlfriend came from like an upper middle class family. The worst they ever had to deal with was their hamster dying because it fell into the garbage disposal when they were a kid and their mom accidentally turned it on. And they'll never forget the noise it made. But the rest of it's fine. Their family's still together. And you're there and you're a normal guy, you're wearing your Target graphic tee, you're driving, you have bags under your eyes, and your girlfriend's talking to you. And she's trying to understand, but she can't because your parents got divorced, and then they got remarried, and then you got to see your mom remarry, and that was awkward, but you kind of accepted it now, but you don't like the new guy. Everyone runs around. Your brothers had like 17 kids, and that's cool, but they're all with different people, and they all run around. There's bullet holes in the wall. Not really, right? Because you're at your grandma's house. Because you're at your grandma's house, and it's nice, and they have a condo, and she thinks about that farmhouse every now and again, right? But she's at this condo and it's nice. And the juxtaposition between your insane family and you can't figure out where it went wrong. And you think it's social media. But if you do say that out loud, you think it's like the entire younger generation will revolt, kind of like those kids did in Nepal. And that's what this is about, right? That's the normal guy at my D&D table. He's the most normal guy at my D&D table. They're driving home from Thanksgiving and he's just like, that's fine. This is life. So I just think, when I just don't, it's just another thing in life I have to deal with. And especially being as like a DM, I talk to people and I'm in the D&D community and people will tell me like, oh, my like Chat GPT runs my games and I work 70 hours a week, but I still love the game and that's fine. And then they show me their artwork from their world and it's AI and it's fine. It looks like Bitmoji piss slop and that's fine. That is okay. Does that build up in me intrinsically at a soul level? Yes, but that's how other people look at this world, right? You know that guy who was mugged outside of like a BJ's restaurant and he ended up seeing the world in like math? He could start seeing like trigonometry and stuff and they brought him to like Harvard and they did brain scans on him and he like couldn't figure out new math, but he could just see it better, right? That's how we are in this world. Someone gets beat up outside of a newly refurbished Hot and Now. He gets beat up, he gets mugged. They take his wallet. He doesn't have money on him. So they take everything that it's essential and they leave the wallet there. And he gets up and he sees everything in an AI art, right? And then you listen to like the great big story that's back, and they're talking about how this guy can see everything in AI art. And he's talking and he goes like, now whenever I see something in my mind, I can type it out into a prompt. And it's a 60 minutes with this guy. And this guy's looking around and if you could see from my point of view, everything is AI art. And you're there and you're just like, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I got to talk real quick about the Metroid Prime stuff. As I've talked about on the podcast before. Also, well, we'll get to that in a second. I'm a big Metroid Prime fan. I've also been waiting for quite some time for the new one. The first one's the best. Don't at me. The second, the third one's probably the worst. But this relates to D&D in some capacity, I promise. There is a character, apparently. So slight spoilers for Metroid Prime 4. Very slight. Very slight. When you get to like the first part of like Metroid Prime, when it's not like the exposition part, like it's finally the free roam. You start the game with like a Marvel character. In the game, there is someone who is like a nerd who's like, oh no, it looks like we're in a bad spot. And apparently that's like, I'm saying something and something's metal in my room and I'm yelling so hard, it's rippling off the metal off of something in my room. Whatever. Hopefully it doesn't pick up. And essentially, it's like, I can't get over this. Can we please stop writing characters like this? You know how every generation has it to where like the generation above, they're always mad at. Gen X is kind of like the boomers. Millennials is Gen X and the boomers. Gen Z is kind of like, everyone forgets about Gen X, so they only talk about millennials and the boomers. Well, for us, Gen Z, I'm sorry, but it is a little bit of the millennials. Like, we have had to endure for 10 years this like Marvel slop writing. And to see it still going on, because it's like, I am in this situation now where it's like I wear pants that are too tight because it was the cool thing 10 years ago to wear a button up that had like, it was cool to wear like button ups and like too tight of pants. That was like what was fashion, and now people wear baggy pants and whatever. Well, it's the same thing with writing, right? In writing, it's past that. It's like you're still wearing the tight pants and the button-up shirt. And it's like we've moved on past that. We've moved on past this like writing that's like, is that a Metroid? Well, or it's like you go there and other soldier will go there. Samus, you keep being Samus. Like, have we not moved past this? Have the box office numbers not proven that this writing doesn't work? And now I got to deal with this in the most atmospheric game in the entire world. So keep this in mind when you're writing your D&D games, right? If your characters are going to be like that, like your PCs, your player characters are going to be like that, one, I hope they're funny enough to pull it off. And two, I hope that it works in the world, or it's juxtaposed enough in the world where it's funny. Like, even then, but if you're running a game and they're like, and Samus, you keep being Samus. I hope you know that, like, slowly you are poisoning the minds of your players. That cortisol is building up until eventually it's like, I think that's going to be a thing in like 10 years, is people are going to be so stressed that you're just going to see like that movie about Roanoke. Hold on. Movie about people disappearing connected to Roanoke with Lugazamo. What's his name? Joey Lugazamo? Lugazamo. What's it? Lost Colony, The Legend of Roanoke. No, that's not it. Yeah, it's John Lugazamo, but it's Vanishing on 7th Street. When did I ever watch this movie? I actually think it's incredibly funny and good. It's not funny, but it's like, I mean, it's probably funny bad. It has 5 out of 10 stars on IMDb. Essentially, everyone in the world just disappears. And I don't want to like, what am I talking about? But there's like a reason for that. It gets on in the movie. I don't want to say any spoilers for Vanishing on 7th Street, the world acclaimed movie. But essentially, I think that's what's going to happen. It's going to be like The Happening, like M. Night Shyamalan's The Happening. But it's just going to be people are so stressed out of their minds, they freeze. why are people freezing out of nowhere? It's because their brains have crystallized so much by listening to kids on iPads and listening to like doom scrolling and AI and their uncle. They're literally, it's like, oh my gosh, wait, every time someone, their brains crystallize it, they're leaning in to look at someone's phone. And then they start seeing near the end of the movie that like their uncles are showing dumb AI images to them. And it's the writing too. It's the writing that will get to them. My laptop is so hot right now. I have no idea. The thing about Razer laptops is the whole thing is a big heat sink and there's like no fans. So your laptop will become untouchable. It becomes 8,000 degrees. Half-Life will be announced soon. I'm guaranteed about that. I think as of me posting this video, it will happen this week, if not already by the time of this posting. If that happens in December, I will be streaming every single Half-Life game. Half-Life 1, Half-Life Opposing Force, Half-Life Blue Shift, Half-Life Decay, Half-Life Lost Coast. Sorry, Half-Life 2, Half-Life 2 Lost Coast, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, Half-Life 2 Episode 2, and then Black Mesa. We will be going in that order, and if you think that's a long stream, I can speedrun all of those games except Opposing Force and Blue Shift and Decay. So if that happens, watch out for it. We had a great stream, like an awesome stream when I opened up the Avatar. I did like the Avatar creator event. And it was so funny. It was an hour, but we lost the footage, which is such a shame. So I'll make it up for it. And especially if Half-Life 3 gets announced, that will be what we'll be doing. Just a couple more cleanup stuff, and then we'll get into questions. We've been pretty good on time, okay, when it comes to talking about D&D. In the future, I know I've talked about this a lot, but for the long form stuff, the talking head videos are fun and great, but we are going to get more into some video game stuff. Not like Magic stuff. I probably won't ever make a video on Magic unless it's like a couple of years from now, because I don't know anything about the game. Like, yeah, I played for X amount of time. Like, yes, I've been on Commander at home. Yes, I have some semblance of knowing how to play the game. But like, I'm not enough to be like, well, this is what Magic, like I couldn't, like the writers, I talked too much about Magic last podcast, and I'll talk about it in the future, but I don't want to talk about it too much. That's probably the most stressful job in the world, and I really don't want to do it. So this week we don't have a long form coming out like talking head. However, I opened up 2 boxes of Avatar. If you want to watch it, it'll be out this week, most likely, maybe next week. I got 2 of my buddies. We opened up some Avatar packs, and it's literally just like something to put on in the background if you just want to hang out with me a little bit longer for the week. It is literally there just to be there. So we're going to get to some questions now. I really love all your content. Love listening to the pod on my drive to work. You're awesome. Someone's spamming me. I know. Interesting. Never mind. Okay, maybe I should have looked at that. All right, interesting. You asked for a low fantasy TTRPG stuff in episode 15. Not sure I'm late, but World of Darkness is a fun system and setting. For those who don't recognize the name, it is probably the most famous for spawning Vampire the Masquerade. Had many fun games with it. The dice system makes successes feel so good. So, story time. I've been the forever DM for ages and finally found a group of friends where one of them was aware enough of D&D to run sessions and offered to run a campaign. The group was originally sessions with DM plus 4 players, but 3 others wanted to join as well as the DM didn't say no. This ends up a lot with a lot of people joining one week and then not for next. Plus for several players in their first time playing ever, so pacing is a bit off. Hey, I'm not a DM. At least that's what I thought. I got to play my good guy, Damphir Oathbreaker Paladin. I've always wanted to play. The party vibes were actually good, and the DM was fun, but they were getting stressed. The stress peaked at a point where in a haunted house, the DM being stressed, okay. He revealed his monster of the week to be an undead banshee. I immediately used controlled undead on them and told them to use them to tell us all the important plot details. DM was not happy, had a teensy little crash out. The session ended and they basically said they were getting too stressed running sessions and could I take over until they get their mojo back? I said, sure, but only for a bit. What did this crash out look like, dude? I will use Control Dead. I thought this was a spell. It's an ability paladins have. Oathbreaker paladins have. that they pretty much do whatever you ask. Does that mean that they can just tell you all the lore? That's debatable, right? Like, you could get around that. But there's a GM sweating. He's just so stressed. And then it's a banshee that comes out. I'll use control undead. They crystallize. They crystallize. It's so funny to listen to like DM complaints and like stories about DM complaints when the answer is just so easy. Like, the guy could have just been like, yeah, he lies. Or he has, give him a legendary resistance and whatever. But he's so stressed that he's like, whatever this writer who wrote in, Jimmy, can I talk to you after session, please? Oh, yeah. Yeah, can you stick around for after session, please? Yeah, sure. Everyone packs out and they look at him. You're like, hey, good luck, man. And he gets up. He looks outside the window. The DM looks outside the window. For some reason, you're in a high rise. He's looking out into New York City. You're in the middle of Manhattan. He goes, Jimmy, do you think my job is easy? No, DM, I think you do a good job. So what? Can you tell me why you ruin every session? I don't think I ruin every session. And then he turns around, he slams his hand down. Well, you do, Jimmy. You ruin every session. He leans right in. He goes, hey, listen. My grandpa just died. He was Paul. He served in both wars. My grandma's stressed out, and I got to go over, and I got to take care of her, all right? Can you please just run this game for me a little bit? Can you please just run the game? And you're like, you're sunken in the chair, and you're just looking at them. The shadow of them is over you. Yeah, I guess. And they go and they're sweating and they go, thank you, Jimmy. I really appreciate you. And then they open up the window and they jump out and you just like look down and you see like it's like the ending of Saints Row 2 when the guy from Altor Corp dies and he like hits the side and goes and he slams down. And you just close the window and then you look at his notes and there's just no notes. It's just like it's a chat GPT's open and they're telling about that. They're just like so stressed about that for no reason. I honestly don't remember how it ended up like this, but their partner actually really wanted to run a campaign after playing as well. So it ended up that we do an alternate weeks for 2 separate campaigns, plus beginner pacing and people jumping in and out. Very West March, very pick up, put down game. Not my kind of game, but everyone's different. Okay, it's getting a little bit complicated. I set up a big city campaign based on Novigrad from The Witcher. I have not played The Witcher. I'll get around to it, I'm sure. Which I morphed into Curse of Strahd. Sue me. They ran a country spanning an anti-corruption campaign where we are basically Merlin's special agents. This sounds like Witcher lore. I don't know what that's about. I don't know what that means. Let me look it up. Probably a spoiler. Don't care. Merlin was a sorceress. All right, that's too much reading. All right, I kind of have an idea of what it means. The former DM then proceeds to play joke characters in both campaigns. I like a bit of fun, dude. But when they basically take over the sessions with their bits, change characters multiple times, and would often make their DM partner let them use spells in really weird ways that let them win whole encounters by themselves. I imagine this like DM goes home and they're in their basement. They're in their like apartment in Queens. The whole thing is like one room. It's like, it's like 60 square feet and it's them and they're looking at a mirror and they like do the thing from Taxi Driver. And he like puts a gun out. He goes like, go ahead, make my day. He's got pictures of you everywhere. They're shirtless. They're actually really skinny and shredded. And they're like, go ahead, make my day. And it's like pictures of the characters that they do. And they go there and they're not wearing a shirt and they have a duster on and they have bags under their eyes. And they're like, yeah, my guy's from the Metroid Prime 4 trailer. And I use Acid Splash on this lock. This culminated in a session where at the climax, we players are trying to flood the sewers to get rid of a gnoll infestation. And his character deliberately straight up tries to kill me to prevent the flooding. We shall baptize each other in the waters of the flood. And I'm going to start drowning this guy. I'm going to start drowning Jimmy. And you're like, what? And then the partner is like, who has to listen to the rants of this person. They're like sitting, their knees are curled up to their chest. They're on the bed in the corner of the room while this guy is like Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. Has a picture of you up with a gun in Minecraft, like aiming at it. Like it comes out of the sleeve and aims. He's like, I know it. Huh? And the other DM, what? I know what I'll do. I will drown their character next session. You're just gonna have to give me the opportunity. And you're like at the hard cut to like you being at the session. Are you gonna allow this, DM? We shall drown each other like in BioShock Infinite. I guess. I mean, it's just, I don't want to take away their player agency. In my head, I immediately think, oh no, they're being controlled by the Knoll god Yanagu or something. That's so funny. Is that like a thing? Like, I think this was written in before I made that second episode of Corners where I found out what Yanagu was, because I have no idea. I managed to roll out, then they find it funny. Turns out they were just bored. I'm just bored. They go, no! I'm just bored. And everyone's like looking at them. And they look around. They go, I'm just bored. I was just bored. I did that. And then it slowly, like all the lights go down and dark. He goes, I had them right where I wanted them and I messed it up. And it's like hard cutting between different visions of them. Like Robert De Niro, they're going around. He's watching the smut films. I had them right where I wanted them. By this point, the flaky players aren't coming back. We're down to 3 players, and each DM said, we've lost the war on every front. There's no more players at the table. The room is gray. We have no more lights. DMH session, but the vibes aren't there anymore. The former DM then flakes several weeks in a row on each day, even streaming instead of playing, and has the audacity to say he's getting too stressed and annoyed at having to keep track of 2 campaigns at the same time. They basically tell me to be the solo DM. And then it was me. And you're looking out. It's you in the office in the middle of New York looking out. The city was mine. I then caused the fatal wound. I take 3 weeks off due to poor health and a death in my family without informing the party. I awakened from that bad time and send a, hey guys, sorry I was gone. Very bad times for me. Is anyone free Sunday? To a shared Discord and get only one single reply from the other player. Not the former DM or DM's partner who was DMing. They haven't talked to me since, and we'd been friends for roughly 2 years before this. Admittedly, a biased POV from me. Am I the asshole? Am I the asshole? What did you do originally? The story was like 9 years long. What was the thing that, you used Control Undead. It's like them. It's like he's driving. It's like Sarah Connor at the end of Terminator 2 driving in the desert. And then it was just me. Was I the asshole? And somewhere out there, like, plotting. As the guy was like, that person used Control Undead. And now, forever shall they rue the day. Am I the asshole? I don't know. It seems like there are layers to this question I'm just not understanding. What made it so that this DM lost their mind? That you ruined a 2-year friendship by using Control Undead? Was there some back and forth? Was the DM like, maybe it doesn't work like this, like don't do that and whatever, and you're like, no, it's what it says. Or maybe that was it. And it's like me, I wrote in the question. Or maybe it was me, the DM. They used Control Undead and I ruined their life. Keep up with the awesome work, Zach. Good evening, Zachary the Bold. I hope this email finds you in good health. I'm another blue-collar boulder here. I'm an electrician. And I've recently, after 1 year and 3 months of running my own first campaign, started playing as a player again. After some talk with the DM, we basically agreed I'd play Halfling Soul Knife Rogue. Oh, man. Have I talked about this? I hate Soul Knife Rogues because they can do anything. Oh, I hate Soul Knife Rogues. They have the range. They can, for whatever reason, increase their ability score improvements. They are such a stupidly versatile class for no reason. I hate the abilities that, like, your soul knives, like, are magical for the sake of being magical right away. I hate the flavor of them. It doesn't make sense to me. It's not even fun for like what the flavor of a rogue should be. I don't think the class is broken. I don't think it should be banned. I simply think if you tell me you're playing a Soul Knife Rogue, I'm like, okay, so you're on RPG Bot and you like chose the best rogue class. And what else will it be, sir? I will be a rogue. That's great. A Soul Knife Rogue. How original. Which I'm glad to comply with, wanting to help the DM out as much as possible, but already from the first session, some stuff struck me as odd. As we entered combat, I wanted to hide behind one of the players, but they said, you can't hide. They counted how many of you are in the room. So I didn't really try any further. Okay. Right away, I'm like, I kind of understand. I don't know if you guys like thought about this, especially in the D&D world. Like we've evolved in such a way. If you guys are in the outdoors and you're like, no one's outside, it's 2 a.m., you forgot something in your car, there's no one around. If you hear anything out in the distance, you like instantly perk up and you like look around, right? And to be fair, like you can't just have a rogue in your party that just can never hides and do their shtick, right? You can do that. And there is in some capacity to be like, a lot is happening, right? If I'm getting hit from a soul knife rogue in some corner of the room and I'm fighting someone right in front of me, I'm not going to worry about where they're hiding. If I look back real quick and they're not there, I don't know exactly what's happening, right? All these rounds are happening in 6 seconds. They're getting hit by a paladin and a barbarian, so there's an argument for both. And that's what I am. I'm just a chud fence sitter. Guys, welcome to Milk Toast Takes, and please subscribe to me. And I don't know, just do whatever you want and establish in session 0, but please subscribe and like this. I'm here to build you guys up, and I think you should subscribe for that. Please subscribe. Guys, please. The next session, I wanted to start investigating for hidden entrances the enemies came from. The rest of the party wanted a short rest. All this was in the same room, so we're literally next to each other. They said, well, the rest of the party is wanting to short rest. Are you going to investigate? Or, sorry, I was still thinking about something else. I should turn my phone off. I cannot look at my texts whenever I go and do the podcast. But we already, from this, struck me out. As we entered the common room, I went to the bathroom for a second and I saw the enemy wizard was gone. So since I went to the bathroom for a second and I saw the enemy wizard was gone since I wanted to attack him. I asked where he went. The DM gave me the answer, you don't know. Okay, interesting. So what you're saying is you went to the bathroom, you came back, and you noticed that the wizard you were fighting was gone and you don't know where it was. The next session, I wanted to start of investigating for hidden entrances. I'm like in between, like, guys, put your answers in ChatGPT or Grammarly and like fix them before you send them to me. Or I'm just like, don't do that, right? But then I'm like reading and I have to comprehend. I need the Rosetta Stone next to me to try to understand what you guys are saying to me. The next session, I wanted to start of investigating for hidden entrances the enemies came from. The rest of the party wanted a short rest. All of this was in the same room, so we were literally right next to each other. They said, well, the rest of the party is wanting to short rest. Are you going to investigate or short rest as well? I asked if I couldn't quickly investigate the room, and they said, no, that's not how that works. I asked if I couldn't quickly investigate the room, and they said, no. You gotta tuck yourself in before the short rest. No, you can't investigate the room. How long is investigating a room? A short rest is 1 hour. How long is it? Like, well, can I just like look around this room? Like, I could literally in 5 seconds go around a room and just like pat the walls, look for secret entrances. No, that's not how that works. You cannot do that. Well, the rest of the party is wanting to short rest. Are you going to investigate or short rest as well? I asked if I couldn't quickly investigate the room and said, no, that's not how that works. After the short rest and some talking, I asked again if I could investigate, this time being told that I could. Not getting why I couldn't before, I felt a bit peeved. He's like Rumpelstiltskin. His toes are under the table, ripping up the wood. Our party begins to wander through the same city and an alleyway at night. First, I don't have dark vision, but that shouldn't have been a problem since there were some fires nearby throughout the city. But the DM still told me I can't see anything. A DM, what phase is the moon? It's full. I can't see anything. If it's a half moon, your eyes can still adjust unless you're holding a torch next to your eyes. I'm on your side. Please subscribe. Please, I'm on your side, man. I turn on the lantern and everyone begins to tell me about the enemies ahead that I had not mentioned, that no one mentioned. I turn on the DM still, I turn on the lantern and everyone begins to tell me about enemies ahead that no one mentioned to me. And another fight against spellcasters, we arrived in a safe house where I had no opportunity to do anything. Okay, guys, I'm just trying to read it right. I'm trying to give it the right inflections, how it would be written. So you turn on a lantern, and everyone begins to tell me about the enemies ahead. So in-game, you turn on the lantern, and then in-game, your characters are telling you, because there's no way you would know without the DM telling the other players in the room, unless you all wore earmuffs and eye folds, and then it's like a game of werewolf. It's like, all right, now you're in the scene, and you take off their earmuffs and put up their blindfold. It feels like every time I try to do anything, I get shot down immediately and sense some passive aggressiveness. And if I fear my voice, if I voice my concerns to the DM, they'll immediately kick me. And that's the end of the question. Why did I choose this? I guess people have such hate in their heart. I guess people, like, if I've learned anything from the last two questions, that people have such vendettas, such hate in their heart, they have vendettas for other people, that, like, be aware of this in D&D. I guess one of the main pillars of Dungeons & Dragons is that if you ever wrong one of your players, they will run a game for you, and they will just never let it go. They will never let it go. They also probably saw you do one thing from Soul Knife, and they were like, I hate this guy. I hate him. Let's see it from the other guy's point of view. There was a lot of, like, clues and hints throughout this, like, entire question. And at the end of the thing, like, okay, so what was it about the wizard in the room? How did the wizard get in there? Did you ever find out? Why did you give me that explanation? What was about you going to the bathroom? Like, why wouldn't any of the other players tell you where the wizard went? Did the DM tell the other players in the room, like, okay, now that he's in the bathroom, it's technically his character's offline, so don't tell him anything. Like, could not the other characters tell you? I don't know. It seems like don't wrong people, because in this day and the age, I guess people hold such dirty vendettas against you that they'll just never let it go. I think we're going to leave it there for the questions. Oh, this is a simple question. Hold on. I'll answer this real quick. Hello, Zach. Hope the podcast is going well so far. This is the first time no one has ever been like, I hope your day's good. I hope so far up to this point, you're not mad enough to make fun of me. I'm going to be running a Fallout TTRPG. I'm going to be running a Fallout D&D-like game here in a few weeks of writing this email. It's going to be set within Northeast Ohio. We love the Midwest. Shout out Midwest! And I was wondering if you had any ideas for any Midwestern animals that should mutate into the setting and what you think you would mutate about them. I would probably do like a squirrel, and a white-tailed deer. I would probably do like an Applebee server that only has like the night shift, and they have like the dollar margaritas going on, and they have like late night appetizers, and they are in between like a college, like it's somewhere near USC, where it's like between like a really nice college and then like a really bad area. And you know, they have found themselves in this cycle. They hooked up with one of the cooks in the back. I forgot this is like the Midwest, so we can't say USC, but it's like somewhere in the Midwest between like a really nice college and a really bad area. And then that really bad area is also right next to a college. and like had aspirations, was going to leave. Maybe it was a college person at some point, and they hooked up with one of the chefs one night, and then they got pregnant, and then then they had to become a manager to make ends meet, and probably like something like that, right? Like where you go out and you're in college and you're having a great time, and then you have to look, and it's like almost like you look into the eyes of Harry Dresden, and the entire soul of this person's in this, and then you're just like, actually, guys, I don't think I'm hungry anymore. Like, I think we're feeding into a system that's harming more than helping. And then you're in your fourth margarita, and you're like, let me get some pretzels and beer cheese, please. That's what I'd probably tell you. Let's get into super chats. Let's get into super thanks. Lundo next sent a big £5. Hey, just watched a bunch of episodes during a 6-hour drive, and I wanted to suggest Dice RPG as an alternative for TTRPG. I mean, the outcome of your roleplay decisions are decided by dice, not much confusion in the name, I think. Yeah, should we call it sitting at a table with friends rolling dice RPG? Yeah, that's a good idea. Should we call it sitting at a friend's playing an adventure in a almost fantasy world, but up to you? Could be homebrew, could be written, owned by Wizards of the Coast, which is owned by Hasbro RPG? That's a good idea. Thanks for the big $5. Appreciate you. I'm sticking with D&D like. I'm pretty set on that. Apocalypse25 sent $5. Hey, Mr. Bold, I caught my friends in a never-ending cyclonic rift cycle with my blue-white deck. What should my penance be? Love the work. Thanks for taking the time to read this. Thank you for the big $5, Apocalypse. Appreciate you. I've taken out all my game changers. The group I'm in just like cannot compete with game changers. You can optimize your deck enough that you can just like take. People are like, I've taken Soul Ring out of my deck, making 5 decks without Soul Ring, and it's like, yeah, but you have 7 Cyclonic Rifts. You have like all these other staples in Magic. And you're like, well, I'm going to be interesting and take out Soul Ring out of my deck. I do have Jessica's Will, Smothering Tithe. I do have, but I don't have Soul Ring. Listen, if you're playing blue-white, you're either playing something that's so insanely weird, dumb, or you're playing something that's a total control. So it's not bad if your friends are in a pod where, like, just cyclically no one's running interaction. Like, at some point, you got to be that guy. I'm not against interaction, okay? I don't think there's anything wrong with interaction. I'm against cards that stop you from playing the game. I'm against Vorinclex. I'm against Armageddon. I'm against Stacks decks. I'm not against interaction. I don't even care playing against a UB deck, right? Which is like blue-white. I don't know why I'm saying it like that. I'm against, like, I have no problem running against, like, a lot of counter spells, but there's, like, some degree of, like, that can get frustrating. Like, if you stop people from playing the game, you're dumb. There should be no Magic format that's, like, the most popular Magic format shouldn't be all rules goes. Like, well, the social contract, it doesn't work that way. You're in a competitive environment. The social contract. Taco Taco sent $5. Dear Zach, I'm a blue-collar worker, and I think that stun is a valid condition of parties of 6 or more. For old time's sake, could you give me a good rant about how you hate stun? I miss the old times running episode 19. My memory is fading. A lot of the thing with those early episodes was I had so much to say, and then I said all of it, right? That's why, like, so much of the podcast has changed in such a short time. But stun sucks. Stun, like, these cards in Magic are the same thing with stun. And it's just like every time someone poses a reason like why they should have stun in the game, it's dumb. I've had it. I've breaking people's down in their arguments so much that they go, I'd rather be poisoned than stunned. And at me, I'm like, you've totally conceded. You have like conceded in the fact that you're like, well, actually, I just like it. Can't other people have fun in different ways? No, actually, people can't have fun in different ways. How about this? How about if I stun you, I'll stun you out of my game for the rest of the god dang time. How about I get you off my table? Here's a stun for you. And then I go and I'm Robert De Niro in Taxi Driver. Where It Rains sent $5. Zach, I need you to narrate The Left Hand of Darkness by Ursula K. Le Guin. Is this a sexual book? Hand of Darkness. Is this the one that Apocalypse Now was based on? Is it not? Is this going to be like some kind of political book? The Left Hand of Darkness is a science fiction novel by the American writer Ursula K. Le Guin. Published in 1969, it became immensely popular and established Le Guin. What is it about? The novel is set in a fictional universe of the, how would I know about this? It's set in the fictional universe of the Hanish cycle. I'm 4 paragraphs into this freaking Wikipedia article. I don't know what it's about. It's like going out into a restaurant in the Midwest and be like, you know, you call up, hey, are you guys doing takeout right now? And they go, no, we can't. Like, we haven't made pizzas like Bob's out. And they like expect you to know who Bob is. Who's Bob? Can I get takeout or not? When she introduced the short story, what is it about? The novel follows the story of Genly AI, a human native of Terra, who is sent to the planet of Gethin as an envoy of the Yukon. What do these words mean? Who wrote this article? A loose confederation of planets. AI's mission is to persuade the nations of Gethin to join the Ukamin. What does that mean? But he's stymied by a limiting understanding of the culture. Individuals on Gethin are ambisexual with no fixed sex. The situation has a strong influence on the planet's culture and creates a barrier of understanding for AI. You know what? I get it now, because after reading that whole entire thing, I don't know what that is. Maybe it's cool. I don't know. Is this like something I shouldn't have been like, what does this mean? I don't know, man. I should put my degree behind me. It's in a box somewhere. Seriously. College whack. But should not discourage you from going to college. College is whack because I was a film major and a bunch of different other reasons. Thank you for the big 5. Where I appreciate you. Asurio John. Sent in $2. Yeah, I know I'm unironically warming up to the term he says, I'm unironically warming up to the term D&D like for 2 specific reasons. On the one hand, most of us who are trying to get people to play other systems usually have to describe them by saying it's like D&D anyways. Thank you. This is what I'm saying. On the other hand, like you said before, I think it does piss off the right people. Thank you, dude. This is what I'm saying. The idea of telling people of a Pathfinder bro who talks on D&D that their game is D&D, like, fills them with a petty, thank you, dude. Thank you. And spiteful joy I can't explain. I love Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I have no problem. Well, I have some problem with Pathfinder 2nd Edition. Keep up the amazing content. You're one of the reasons I took up DMing D&D a little over a year ago. I'm in 3 campaigns deep, despite my blue-collar job taking up nearly all my life. We've done normal high fantasy, parallel worlds and timelines, Astral Sea Pirates, Treasure Planet style. I'm now looking at 1930s Prohibition-era Daggerheart campaign set in fantasy Louisiana with mafias. And this guy, whatever, I don't think this is a real person. I think they took everything that I liked and whatever to appease me, put into an AI generator and had this come out. I hope you have so much fun. I'm having a blast. I have no plans on stopping anytime soon. Thank you so much for the inspiration. Really appreciate that comment. That's awesome. Thank you for literally telling the 2 pinnacles of why I think D&D like should be. 1, no matter what, you're always going to have to tell new players it's like D&D. And number 2, it pisses off the right people. 30 Art 5 sending $5. I should say this now. We have a subreddit. Someone made a subreddit. If you want to go check it out, it's r/Zach the Bold. You can go check it out there. 30 Art 5 sent $5. Your response to the question was very hilarious, but a correction to be made is that Nathan was a DM to a bard named Tater. He dogs on him all the time in the YouTube shorts. What he made is that Nathan was a DM to a bard named Tater. Oh, I'd have to go back and look what you're talking about. Blue Bread 00 sending $10. Hey, Mr. Bold and Brash, missed my super thanks last week. It was basically just me begging you to start a Patreon so I can fork over more of my shillings to you. Little Timmy doesn't need his gift this year. I also sent in a question with a subject title, Music Madness. Hope you give it a read on the episode. Spent most of this episode trying to die laughing in my tree stand. Oh, it's deer season. Deer season just started, dude. Thanks for the laugh. I mean, not deer season, gun season just started. It was bow season for a little bit. Well, I'm glad. Hey, I hope you got a big 10-point buck, 30-point buck. Yeah, we are starting a Patreon. We're going to do all the YouTube stuff. It's going to be in the new year. We're going to start a Patreon. We're going to get some merch. We're going to make like normal merch shirts. And then for the podcast, we're going to have a limited time run of like D&D and Blue Collar Ally or something like that. We're still in the phase, and like we're gonna do a short run to the point where it's like if like when I buy the shirts and the stocks or whatever, like I won't have to invest too much money in it, but we'll see. Burning Blaze 005 with another big $5. Zach, I just hate it when people cheat in D&D, and unlike most people, I take it very seriously. Like I put them in a room from Saw 1 so they can understand how cheating in D&D is essentially like taking your life for granted in Minecraft, of course. Incredible take. I hate when people cheat in D&D. Unlike most people, I take it very seriously, like putting them in a room from Saw 1. I don't like Saw 1 because of the ending reveal that, spoilers for Saw 1, they never had a choice. My girlfriend's in the other room, and I don't want her to, they never had a choice to begin with. Because if you seriously think, right, they never really did, it's unfair. I always find that unfair. I had that problem when I watched Squid Game for the first time, and when the guy was looking at the glass, and they started to, like, cheat him out, I'm like, no, isn't the game, like, about to be, whatever, I thought that was unfair. I also just only watched the first season. Taco Sausage 4852 sent $2. Hey, Zach, quick question, 9 pages. When me and my buddies are frying our eyes out playing Baldur's Gate 3 over Discord once a week, and one of them inevitably has to take a break and go urinate, like you shouldn't have to have done that earlier. True. They should have it where it's just like a tube. They should have those, like you shouldn't have done that earlier. You can buy like portable urinals, dude, that like old people have them. Or maybe keep an empty 2-liter of Diet Dr. Pepper next to your battle station like the rest of us. How do I approach my friends about their lack of empathy? Now I'm out 2 minutes epic gamer moments because it's potty time. Seriously, grow up, put a diaper on. Thoughts, diapers, portable urination things. Love the pod. Also, it's FEV. Yes, it's forced evolutionary virus. The master dips his subject into the force. You never got it right since the beginning of the pod, and I'm fed up. Have I really not once got it right? Feels like I'm listening to Joe Rogan go off about Fallout 1 sometimes here. I don't think this thing is anything like the Joe Rogan podcast, dude. That is so funny. I'm sitting across Joe Rogan or whatever, and the whole time I'm just going, and then it's like, he has like all these brilliant people on and whatever, and sometimes not and whatever. But like, it's like I'm going, I'm like, what is that? It's like, it's the thing from Fallout 1. Do you know, Joe? Jamie, pull that up. Tail is 606 sending 10 pounds. Greeting, Mr. Zach the Sack. I have a story about an experience 9 pages long. I have a story about an experience. I had a friend with GMing a Call of Cthulhu game a few years back. I got to play Call of Cthulhu. At this point, so many people write in. People seem to love it. It was his first time running the game. Basically, it started with a session 0, where we all made our characters, got the rundown of the lore and the expectations, basically The Thing, as in John Carpenter's The Thing. We were told that, I hate that he said, I don't believe the Xbox game of The Thing is the canonical ending to John Carpenter's The Thing. I highly encourage you to go watch John Carpenter's The Thing and think about why that first scene, the first time you see McCready, I guess I shouldn't say first scene, but the first time you see McCready and he's playing a game and then, he like drinks and what does that mean? What does that mean for the movie's ending? And that's all I'll say. We were told that this game where combat is very dangerous and you want to be avoiding it as much as you can. Death is permanent. Session 1 comes around and we start playing. We dick around in the Arctic base for a bit, looking for clues, find a few interesting tidbits and other whatnots, but mostly uneventful. So in order for us to get closer to the plot, he gets an NPC to organize an expedition to a nearby cave and all the PCs tag along. Okay, not bad so far. As soon as we get in the cave, the GM rolls a couple dice and then says, all right, so you hear some noise from deep within the cave. Suddenly, a huge wooden spear zips through the air and hits you. He gestures to me for 9 damage. I look at my sheet and respond with, but I only have 6 life total. And he's there. And you go, I only have 6 life total. And you go, and it's just him. Oh, well, I guess you're dead. Well, I guess you gotta make a new character because this is a hardcore world. Most of the table, including the DM, seemed a little shocked. Well, if the DM seemed a little shocked for various reasons, but to me personally, it was because I ended up being chosen at random in a situation where I ended up at the behest of the GM. I wish I could say more about this right now, where it's like, oh, in Call of Cthulhu, like you could have you roll your AC. Like, I don't know how damage works in Call of Cthulhu. Him and I talked about it, and he agreed to just put my character in a near-death state. Go! Instead of a dead state. However, he didn't seem like he was happy with the concession. That I confronted him about it, and we had another player who seemed upset that I just didn't take the loss on the chin. What are your thoughts on random damage like this and the players encouraging it? What do I think about this? I think that, like, if we look at game design, right, it's unfair. It's just unfair. You're not learning anything from the situation. This is a new game, first encounter. What do you learn exactly about what could you have done different in this situation to make it so that didn't happen to you? And then if you go and your players are like upset about it and then go, well, what if it happened to you? Oh, then maybe it should have happened to him. Well, maybe next time something happens, this, I need you to go and I need you to start putting up posters around, whatever, and then DM a game for the person who's making fun of you at the party, and then I need you to ruin their life through that DMing experience. Epilogue. Next session, we had a big combat in the base's cafeteria, and my character, who was still recovering from the giant hole in the chest that missed his vital organs, managed to John Wick the Beast due to some really lucky dice rolls. It was really exciting compared to dying randomly in a cave. I think everyone enjoyed it, but we did meet up for another session afterwards. P.S. Please sort your BoldTakes and bad tempers in chronological order. It's not in order? I thought it does it automatically. Is it really not in order? Yeah, I'll get around to it. I will. I think I'm missing episode 25 on it, too. Yeah, I will. Sorry. I thought I fixed that. Whatever. My bad. Yeah, that's my thoughts. I have nothing else to really say. I'm sorry that happened, but I'm glad the next session went better. Matt Street 4104 sent an Australian $5. DM here. I think that's what A means. How do I handle my group of 5 players who only previously experienced D&D in Baldur's Gate 3? Who also think D&D actual plays TTRPG in real life is also BG3. Do you listen to what you're saying to me right now? Also think D&D actual plays TTRPG, BG3, BBEG. Oh my God. Baldur's Gate 3, and also think that Dungeons & Dragons actual plays tabletop role-playing game in real life is also Baldur's Gate 3. Also, this is a bump for my question. Subject, DM, improv, and acting advice. All right, it's on the agenda for the next episode. How do I handle 5 groups of players only play? Yeah, you tell them it's a different thing. They have more control, but they do give up the stuff where it's like you can't push as a bonus action and stuff. I think it's just you have to lead them in a way that doesn't play like Baldur's Gate 3, and you have a bit more role play, and they see how it's going. Generic person LaFour Square sent in £5. Hey, Zach, love the podcast. Hilarious to listen either way on the work, not blue collar, unfortunately. Yeah, he's like, now, unfortunately, I'm a lawyer at a big firm. He goes, unfortunately, I'm a lawyer at a big firm. I'm not blue collar. I'm sorry, Zach. Zach, I'm a doctor. I'm a specialist doctor surgeon. I do brain surgery. Unfortunately, though, I'm not blue collar. I think you're fine. By the way, I'm starting a new campaign soon. Can you write it up for me real quick? I think there should be some beholders and dragons and stuff. But I don't want to TBK my party of 2 level 0 homebrew commoner class players. Thanks, bro. Appreciate the assist. Yes, I'll get on that right away. Thank you, generic person. Really appreciate it. Hot chocolate guy sent in $2. I almost said Californian money. $2 Canadian money. Hey, Zach, I DM'd my first campaign which was a monster of the week and more combat. I focused, not so much story and more goofing around in character. After literally one combat, I took a black pill of the boss dies. I took the black pill of the boss dies whenever I feel like the party struggled enough to get it. Yeah, I really don't like that. But I understand in some capacity, especially if you're new. Every online resource tell you not to do this, but other than your players will eventually find out and it'll take away the magic from the game reason. No, they won't unless you're an idiot. Unlike me, I don't see why they shouldn't do it. Every session I had my players telling me how the combat was really balanced and they had this or that close call. I created a lot of moments I think they enjoyed. If you could guarantee your players would never find out, why wouldn't you do this? I'm struggling not to be this black-pilled. I'm struggling not to be arbitrary health pilled. I'm struggle pilled to not be arbitrary health pilled. But I can't find a good enough reason not to do this. Why should you do this? I'm struggling not to be this black. Did you say it again? No, I'm just bad at reading. But I can't find a good enough reason to do this. Why should I allow the big fight to be lessened? Because I didn't guess the right amount of HP the boss should have the night before. This idea feels completely backwards for the entire point of telling a good, satisfying story. The reason is because you're also robbing yourself of even attempting the experience of having a genuine moment where your party can be really on death's door and like maybe they are TPK'd. If you have it to where no matter what, they have an arbitrary amount of health, your party will never be TPK'd. Are you trying to get a TPK? No. Is it bad if that happens? Sure. But it's a part of the game. It's a part of like a narrative structure that you don't get out of any form of medium that you have. At this point, you might as well be playing like, what is it called? 17 candles or whatever, 10 candles. Like you have taken away the essence of what it makes the game part of it, right? You can always say that, like, why don't you just have it to where your players always hit, to where your players always do the max amount of damage? The number doesn't matter. Whether they hit, whether they don't hit, whether they have a good day or a bad day, doesn't matter because you're in full control of this monster. You're in full control. It's not inherently a skill issue. If like in turn 2 you TPK your party, maybe it's a skill issue for you rating how you made your challenge encounter, right? But it's not a skill issue if your players just roll bad. Their luck is a real life thing that happens to people. If you hear the stories about how in real life people die, some people just get really, really unlucky in a moment, right? You're taking away a narrative element and giving yourself full control out of the essential part of the game where you have none, right? It's not about a skill issue or a balance or what it is for the story. You're inherently taking out an element of the story by trying to have complete control over your world. You are giving something up to your players by allowing them to interact with this world. Your players are not interacting with this fight if you are choosing when the character dies, because then the path isn't splitting. It's not splitting into like some characters died and the boss was defeated or we got TPK'd. It's a straight line. It's the same thing that you've done this entire story, which is lead these characters into where you want them to go. And then you even take away the one point where it's like, no matter what, this character, this monster will die. This monster will die 100%, and it's part of like the same railroad. Dang. Guys, please subscribe. I told him he's railroading his players. Papillon7210 sent $10, me playing poker. And I just want to say, too, like, you are robbing yourself as the DM some of the cool experiences of what the dice say. And you might find it hard now as a new DM to see this, but it's because you haven't experienced it before. You have no frame of reference for it. Papillon7210 sent another big $10. Me playing poker with a group of Italian mafia, Chinese triad thugs, deep cover CIA agents, and local BlackRock liaison, all of whom are waiting for any chance to hang my lifeless body from the Denver airport underpass. You know, unlike other people, I actually enjoy games like this for the elements of random chance for the dealer produces, as well as the subtle social deduction inherent in the reading the cues and bluffs of your fellow players. Well spoken, well said. 80 likes on this bad boy. Papillon, look out. You're saying too much. You're saying too much, dude. There's gonna be a group of like OSR people that are, and I know there are people who listen to OSR, and I dig on it a little too much for what it is, because I like don't engage at all with people. Like, I get some hate from the OSR community, but I never engage with it because it makes them even more mad. But they have like, yeah, there's like, do you know about the OSR mafia? Do you know about the OSR triad? Like, our triad. That is so, they're coming for you, and they're coming for you and me, Papillon. We got to look out. Well, guys, that's the episode. I appreciate you for tuning in. I hope you have a great week, a great time. Keep an eye out on the Instagram if Half-Life 3 and when Half-Life 3 drops this week. Not drops, but it'll, be announced this week. Please. Thank you for your questions. You can send your hot takes, your steaming hot questions over to BoldTakes@outlook.com. And until then, I will see you next week. Have a good one. Bye.